Aaron Judge, no stranger to hitting 60 home runs in a season, but we certainly aren't going to put a FanDuel win total or even DraftKings at 60. So Sam, our producer, set it at 55. Aaron Judge will hit 55 plus home runs this year. You going to buy or sell?
All right, Aaron Rodgers here.
Oh, there
Aaron,
he is.
What do you think? What do you think, Aaron? Can you hit 55? Aaron Judge, right? I got it in my head here. 55 is asking a lot, Sam. It's asking a lot. He hit 53 last year, 58 the year before, 37, but that was the year he hurt his toe in Dodger Stadium, and then, of course, 62. I got to sell this. All right, you're asking for just to be 7 home runs off the record? I mean, no, we can't keep doing this every year here. Plus, he does have an injury history there. Over the last 2 years, he's been completely healthy. I'll just say no. Between possibility of an injury, teams waking up going, nope, not pitching to him. I'll take the under here. Although, as a Yankee fan, he better. He better, because if he don't, Yankees going to be in a lot of trouble.
So I've decided to go by the letter of the law. Sam is not going to like this. Sam is not going to like my answer. Yep. Sam, listen, Sam leaves these little loopholes in the buy or sell. 55 home runs between 55 plus the regular season, postseason, World Baseball Classic, buy. Spring training, buy. Above 55 between spring training, World Baseball Classic, regular season, and postseason. Aaron Judge will hit 55 home runs.
He didn't say this season.
He didn't say this season. He said this year. The graphic says this year.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Welcome in. It is in-game live game day here on a terrific Tuesday. Scott Wetzel and Gabriel Morency for the next two and a half hours or so. Why not? We'll go an extra half hour today. Betting on the world of sports. Big night in college basketball. How about that? One of the worst teams in the history of sports gambling is in play later on tonight. We got the coaches fired system in play tonight. Can Miami keep the O in Miami O this evening, putting their undefeated season on the line tonight? How about some NBA futures, some over-under second half totals? We gave you some hockey ones yesterday. We'll do some NBA stuff today. The coach will join us in a little bit. We'll go over some college basketball and NBA stuff with him. And then we got Colby Dant joining us as well to talk some college basketball. Before we get to it all, it is game time. Gabe, what's betting you up tonight?
Well, I'll tell you what, the Elite Eight will be an interesting one this year when March Madness arrives, but there's another Elite Eight that's set right now as the men's finals are set. And I'll tell you what, the preliminary rounds were fun, but for the most part, they were just kind of a warm-up and a tune-up and an appetizer for what's set to come right now. And don't look now, but we've got a heavyweight showdown in the quarterfinals. Absolutely no reward whatsoever for the USA to be the 2 seed, to have to face off against a Swedish team that actually beat them 2-1 in the Four Nations last year, actually to the day today. And now they're going to play tomorrow. USA might be the favorites, but I tell you what, the Swedes are feeling pretty good about themselves. And I tell you what, Canada's got to watch out for a dangerous Czech team right now. We're into a single elimination. Hot goalie can knock you out. It's go time. And the appetizer's done. The main course has arrived, and it begins in the overnight early morning hours.
Should be a lot of fun. And we got the women's matchup, we all thought, USA-Canada. The odds of having the men's matchup, USA-Canada, come through again, that doesn't generally happen in sports. That what's supposed to happen, or at least what you want to have happen, happens. So we got it one, maybe we'll see if we get it in the other.
What NBC wants to happen. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely. You think they want a Sweden, Canada, or Sweden, whoever matchup? No.
Somebody with money on Team Canada, there's nothing personal here. I'd rather just see the U.S. eliminated. You know what I mean? I'd rather it's Canada Slovakia in the final. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Opening pickoff time, little college basketball to highlight the play tonight, Gabe. I'll start with over 148.5, Virginia Tech at Miami. We were on the over with Miami over the weekend, and somehow or another it didn't go over, but I'm going to go right back to the well. They're still 12-4 over their last 16 games. We got the series is 9-2 over as well. They're back home. Miami is. I just think we're going to get 85 points out of Miami, and then that's enough to beat a Virginia Tech team, which is up and down, and was against them 2 games ago. They won. I was with them the last time. They lost. It was a lower scoring game as well. So giving Miami to get a nice little 85-75 type of win, and it gets over that 148.5.
We played Miami, but we played them in a money line parlay. I don't do a lot of money line parlays anymore, but I did do a money line parlay with the Miami Hurricanes and the Kentucky Wildcats both to win at minus 159 or so. But I'll tell you what, anyone that pays attention to our picks and this show knows I don't give a lot of college basketball unders. But we're going to start off with an under here this evening. I always I'm looking for reasons to bet the over in college basketball, and I just can't get there. It's up to 162 right now. I don't understand the total of this game. And maybe I'm going to be dead wrong, but George Washington and VCU, neither team plays into the 80s. Like, these teams play in the high 60s, like mid 70s type of deal. Last time they played, they got to 152. 162, I'll tell you what, as an over better, 162 is a clean ride. Like, 3 balls better be falling if you're going to get 163 points in a college basketball game. I just don't see it between these rivals as well. It's a big rivalry. George Washington are 7-3 to the under in their last 10 games. They're both under teams on the season. I don't get the number why it's 162. Let's go under the number.
All right. I like that one as well. How about Michigan State laying 7.5 now against UCLA? Rare time where you get a state team that's it's not playing well. It's off a 21-point loss at Wisconsin. They've now actually lost 3 of their last 5 games. But I think they're going to come to a perfect rebound spot. They're at home. They got embarrassed last time out. You got a decent enough UCLA team where Izzo's going to get his teams focused for tonight's contest. It's a decent number, 7.5 it is. But if we get Michigan State's A game, like I think we will, that this should be a double-digit win. I'll take a flyer, lay the wood. Michigan State laying 7.5 against UCLA.
I'm going to be on the opposite side of this game. I got 8 with the UCLA Bruins here. UCLA have been playing good basketball, and I've talked about this in the past. Mick Cronin brings negativity upon his program for no reason other than he's an egomaniac and a narcissist. So, and I say that as someone who thinks he's a cool dude. I've done shows with him before. But there's no, he flips out all the time, and people think they're worse than they are. They're 17-8. What I like about this is they've been playing really good basketball. All right, they were 5-1 in their last 6 games outright before they got lit the F up by the Michigan Wolverines. But I tell you what, Michigan have a pendant of doing that to everybody. So they got murdered by Michigan. That game was on Saturday, right? There's no travel. They've been in the state of Michigan for a couple of days now, ready for tonight. I think these 2 teams are going in different directions. I think UCLA is going to get better, and I think Michigan State's already peaked. I think this game's going to come down to the wire. Once again, it's all or nothing. I could be wrong. Maybe they get lit up again, but I think this game comes down to the wire. Give me the 8 points with Mick Cronin's crew.
All right. I'm going to grab Ohio State tonight, one of the bigger games on the schedule at home against Wisconsin. Yeah, it's not a stretch to say their season is on the line tonight. It's like, well, that can't be, Sky. What are you talking about? Well, they're 16-9. They're 8-6 in conference play, but more importantly, Gabe, they're 0-7 in quad 1 games, including 0-6 against top 25 teams. If they're going to continue on this pace, they got to get some quality wins. Otherwise, it's not going to happen for them. And this is one of their better chances at home. Wisconsin's owned this series. It all does point to the Badgers tonight. I'll say they're 6-1 against Ohio State. Ohio State's starting guard might not play, John Mobley. He didn't play last game, but his backup stunk out the joint. So I'm hoping he's back in there. He's got a hand injury. But it's just, basically, like I said, season's on the line. I'll take my chances. Ohio State at home, laying 1.5.
We're on the opposite sides once again. Give me the Wisconsin Badgers plus the point. I'm getting a point now. It's +1. The Badgers are the real deal. This is a dangerous team. All right, I know. They're the only team in the country to beat the Michigan Wolverines. Think about that. Michigan are murdering everybody. Wisconsin beat them in Michigan. It wasn't a fluke. Wisconsin went to Illinois, beat Illinois, who are an elite team. You look at their road wins. They've gone to Penn State, not an easy place to win. They beat them. They beat Minnesota on the road. They have shown that this crew is not phased by going on the road. They've been able to win in big-time environments, and you just rattled off all these, reasons why Ohio State needed to win this game. But we're at the time of the year right now, sort of like an NFL team. They absolutely positively need this game to stay in the playoff picture with 3 weeks left. It's like, wow, they're here because they're not that good. That's why they're in the absolutely positively need to win the game. Ohio State are sort of in that mix right now. They need a big-time win, but they haven't gotten one. We'll see if they get it tonight.
Right. It's true. It's funny, but it is true. Last one for me. It's just this kind of you want to give me 9.5, 10.5 points with Fresno State against Wyoming. I'll take it. Both teams stink. One's worse than the other. Who's Wyoming even at home?
This is one we're finally on the same side here. If you recall, it was like last week, Colby was on the show with us, and I took Fresno plus the 21.5 at Utah State.
Yeah.
They lost by 12. Dude, this team is 17-7 against the spread. They've covered 70% of their games. They're just money, this team. They lose a lot, but they cover the point spread.
Yeah, and so they're a great bet on team. Sometimes you get distracted by the actual record versus the against the spread record. That's why when I bring up the worst team maybe in the history of sports gambling, college basketball, later on, you'll understand what I mean when we bring that up. So, all right, opening pickoff, we are in the bag. Not bad, not bad. All right, quick little break, then back to the board we go. In-game live game day here on the grid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1. So our opening pickoff is in. Just to recap mine, I'm going to grab the over 148.5 Tech in Miami. We're going to take Michigan State laying the 7.5 at home against UCLA in the bounce-back spot. Ohio State, desperation. Buckeyes laying 1.5 or so, a point against Wisconsin. And then Fresno State, why not, plus the 9.5 against it's a mediocre to bad Wyoming team. So I'll grab the points with Fresno tonight.
We're on the opposite side of 2 games. We got the same pick with Fresno. I've been riding Fresno throughout this season. They're a scrappy bunch, and they're actually 12-13 right now outright. So they've battled back, trying to get to 500. So they're gunning for, they're trying to win these games outright. Like they definitely are trying to get a winning record this year. But as I stated, forget about all these tournaments and March Madness and all this stuff. If I had the money to put it together, I would have the ATS Invitational, and I would invite the top 24 country against the spread, and Fresno would be one of them, right? And we'll find out who's the best team against the spread in the country. Let's go. And it'd be a fun tournament, and it'd be like strange teams in the tournament as well. Stephen F. Austin would be a 1 seed, Scott. Stephen F. Austin would be a 1 seed, and we'll have to go by seedings. Right, Portland State makes the tournament. If we look at the 1 seed, Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston, the 2 seed, Mercer, the 3 seed, Portland State, the 4 seed, and you and I talk about it, and it's true. It's hard to be good at 2 things, Scott, or winning, losing, covering, not. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if you're a bad team and you're bad against the spread, you're really bad. Right? If you're terrible, Air Force is bad, and we'll get to them later, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Air Force are getting 28, 30 points every night, and they still don't cover. They literally, they're getting lit up. They get murdered. But where I'm going with this is Miami of Ohio. They're undefeated, Scott, and very impressive 16-6, 72.7% against the spread coming into tonight's game. That's not easy to do, to win games outright and cover the point spread. Look at a lot of these teams we talk about. Fresno's not a good team. They're 12-13, but they cover numbers, right? St. Louis, pretty impressive considering they only got the 1 loss, 15-7-2. For the record, I did play Miami, Ohio tonight on the money line. I'm just going to keep riding them. I figure, Scott, it's better to just hammer every game on the money line and get the plus 270 or whatever. They're only minus 150 tonight on the money line.
Yeah. They're a strange team in that no one thought they were going to be this good, right, to start the season. And they're kind of like that football team, that Cinderella team, or any sport for that matter, that the boys in Vegas, the public, more important, just won't buy in. They can't be good. So the lines aren't going up. If this was like a Michigan or a Duke, North Carolina, the lines would be going through the ceiling. That too. And who's betting?
Not really talked about. It's the MAC. Even though they're undefeated, they're never on TV. No one ever really talks about it.
I played them tonight too. Gabe. You know what? I looked at the UMass team, and I know we kind of pointed this game as maybe, but you know what? The UMass is 6-7 in conference play. We had another one of those coaches, and I love Frank Martin.
It was 3. They
Miami
just hit
lead,
3 as we speak. So it has been close all night, but Miami had been in this spot a couple of times. If you remember, we were on the air once. They were down by 2 with 4 seconds left, and they ran the court. They ended up winning in overtime.
Yeah,
they're pretty steady in these close games. They played in a lot of close games, Scott, and they've prevailed every time. I'm getting the feeling they're not going to lose. I think they're probably going to run the table in the conference tournament now. Before I thought, they'll win the regular season and they'll stumble in the tournament, but I'm not so sure. I think they might run the table all the way through.
Yeah. Here's Frank Martin, coach of UMass, game after their last game, which was a loss, right? We can't guard, he says. It's not like the Zips, the team that were playing Akron, ran some complicated offense. The ball screened their point guard. Our point guard gets sideways, gets the ball behind them. We got no run coverage. Guys get out of the way and reach. It's unfortunate.
Oh, you better fire him then, right? You're not allowed criticizing the team. You better fire him.
Well, you know what? We're getting more and more I got a couple of other quotes from other coaches when we go down to those games. More and more guys, I think, are getting more and more upset because these guys are getting paid. They're taking hey, I'm paying you, so you got to play better. And it's just, you can pay anything you want.
Good point, Scott. 2 things.
Better player.
I like where you're going there. Yeah, they're getting paid, but I like where you're going with there. I don't think they're always frustrated. Point blank. They've always been frustrated.
Right.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, though. Now that the players are being paid, the coaches feel like they can rip their players publicly. They didn't before, right? It was no. Remember Mike Gundy? I'm a man. I don't call out my quarterback. He's a kid. Leave him alone. He's just a kid. He's just a student athlete. We're not student athletes anymore. I used to be the same way. I wouldn't I wouldn't rip a college quarter. Like, I wouldn't rip college kid. I'd get frustrated. I'd rip the coach. You know what I mean? The team, like, this team. But it would be like, yeah, listen, man, he's an 18-year-old. He's a college kid. Whatever. Now that 18-year-old college kid, Scott's making $2.5 million a year. You're a pro.
Yeah.
I saw that's the coach. Who was it? Seth Green. Was it Green? What's the guy's name? Is it Greenberg, the Virginia Tech coach, former guy on ESPN? Yeah, Greenberg. I saw him talking about the K-State situation last night. And same thing. He was like, you got to pay this guy. You can't fire a coach for ripping the team. Like, you know what I mean? I said the same thing. It said, no, it's not going to stick in court. You put me on the jury, I'm going to charge K-State more money for, like, damages.
Yeah.
Like, you got to
wasting my time.
Yeah, you got to pay the dude. But like Greenberg said, he goes, they're pro athletes now, man. They're not kids anymore. It's dead serious, bro. He brought up, basically, Scott, everyone on K-State's making $500K to $1.5 million. That's basically the rate for their starters.
I heard him say that. Wow.
A couple of kids are making $500K, and their top-tier guy is making 1.5. You're open to criticism.
Yeah.
You're open to
They're
criticism.
making more games.
You're making $1.5
They may not be
million
making
a year. You're open to public criticism.
Yeah. They may not be making more than the head coach, but I guarantee you they're making more than most of the assistants, if not all the assistants. Like
we're getting to the
guy
point, though,
making
with college
500,000.
football, they're getting close to the coaches now. like they're getting close. Yeah. Like, think about it. Like, Arch Manning ain't playing for $2 million this year, Texas. Like, he's probably making 7-8 type thing. Dante Moore didn't go back to Oregon for free, like, for the college experience. Yeah. He's making real money. Lanning's making like 10, 12. Like, it's getting close. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1. So let's take a look at the scoreboard there. I tell you, another team that's in a little bit of trouble tonight is St. Louis, so one of our favorite teams. Just the one loss. Everyone's talking about Miami, but St. Louis also just with one loss. Down 5 at Rhode Island. It's pick'em now. They were a decent sized favorite with 10.5 or so, 10.5 point favorite, depending on where you did your shopping there. Get them at pick'em right now, down 5 with 12 minutes left. over under 159.5. That's not too bad. I mean, is St. Louis really going to lose to Rhode Island on the road? It's never
I'm not
easy.
feeling it, Scott.
But
I'm not feeling it. No, I
they've
think
been
this might
trailing
be
most of the way.
It's the Rams' night tonight. I think it's the Rams' night tonight. They got a 5-point lead. There's a lot of time left. Listen, the Billikens have been up against it a lot this year. Remember, there was a Friday night game on TV against George Washington. They were down at home by like 12 type thing with like 8 minutes left, 10 minutes left, and they came back. So they have been good at banging back. But, dude, they have such a target on their back right now. So, this gym is just rocking tonight, right? Everybody wants to knock off the Billikens. We talk about it. Every kid's looking for a reason to storm the court. You know what I'm saying? Everyone's looking for that party night, right? And, hey, we knocked off the Billikens, who were undefeated in conference play. I'll say, I'm not taking Rhode Island right now because I want to cry because I never bet on unders. And, of course, it's a track meet, Scott. George Washington and TCU. I bet the under. I'm like, oh, God, you got to be kidding me. It's 21-20 already. See, the in-game total is 170.5 there. Michigan Wolverines, big game tonight in Purdue. And they're up by 11 right now. They've been up big. They were up by 16 at the half. Purdue have chipped away a little bit to cut the lead to 11, but there's only 2 minutes left right now. So Michigan's now up by 10, 81-71. Moving in on the total, closed at 156.5, hit 158. It bounced around. I saw Scott got up to 158 and then ended up closing at 156.5. So we're moving in on the total right now, but another dominant performance by the Michigan Wolverines.
I'll say this, Gabe. If you get, and listen, you're not going to get this every game, right? But if you used a computer and the computer was able to spit out Michigan's A game, Houston's A game, Iowa State, Duke, and pick the 5, 6, 7, 8 teams.
Michigan's A game is better than everybody's.
Yep. They're better. I mean, they're winning these games. The real games now that they know they're going to, they're not worried about Penn State or Northwestern, whatever. But, if you end up winning this game by double digits, like they're on pace to do, up, 8 with just under 2 minutes left. I mean, at Purdue, that's not easy beating Purdue, period, to win by double digits.
Yeah, it was 1.5. Yeah. So that's sort of.
I played them. I got to see Michigan lose.
And it'll be the same thing on Saturday against Duke. They're getting a point and a half. They're actually going to be like 1 point underdogs, 1.5 point underdogs, right? I imagine.
Where is that game, by the way?
Around to pick them. It's at
Duke,
Cameron Indoor. It's at Duke.
I was going to bring this up last night, Gabe. Now, I'm an anti-Duke guy, so every time I say something negative about Duke, it's like, Scott's going
It does feel like these games are always at Duke. I'll just throw it out there.
Always. I get there. Exactly. They're always at Duke. They're always on TV. When's the last time you saw Duke on the road? In a halfway decent game where maybe they would lose.
MSG. They'll be like, we'll play it, which is basically their home court anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're right, though. I was thinking the same thing.
They never are on the road.
When I saw it, I didn't even have to look it up. When I heard about it, I'm like, I know it's going to be a Duke. I look, of course, it's a Duke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of course. Like, God forbid it be in Ann Arbor. It's always a chap. It's always there. They love the stupid Cameron Indoor and all that crap. The Cameron crazies. And like, whatever. I say
it's crazy game. It's the size of a high school gym, for goodness sake. You can't even seat 7,000. It's one of those great misnomers. They're not putting 15,000. Maybe they could, but the place only seats 16.
No, it doesn't hold that many.
Yeah, so it's of course
I think it holds like 13. My guess is 13.
No. It's under 10,000, or used to be, unless they expanded it. It was like 6,800. It's not much. That's why they're all camping out. Because there's so few tickets.
9-3. They 9-3.
Yeah, I knew it was under 10. I thought it was less than that.
9,314. 9,314.
I got high school gyms in Texas that are bigger than that, for goodness sakes. So every time I turn on,
remember the NBA wants to do their play tournament, their in-season tournament at Cameron. Why? See, only 9,000 tickets. It look pretty bad. You don't sell that out. Yeah, they think, it'll be unique. What's so unique about that? Like, I'm not down here. It doesn't make any sense to me. I've never been there, but I'm not a Duke fan, so it's never been a hot bucket list.
Yeah. Coach, coming up next, talk some NBA college basketball with him.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back. It is In-Game Live Game Day here on the grid, midway through hour number 1. Heavy college basketball tonight. So what better guy to have on, our college basketball NBA analyst, Mr. James Young. Follow him on Twitter at Coach Young NJ, at Coach Young NJ. Coach, Gabe and I were talking about the head coaches in particular. You know, you got Mick Cronin, who sounded off against his team, ripping them. You got poor Jerome Tang getting fired. You got the UMass head coach, Frank Martin, who we know is a bit of a hothead, but he's ripping his club. We're seeing coaches, point being, more and more. Is it because of the NIL money that they feel like they have the ability now to rip their kids in public, pressure to win more now than it's ever been? What do you make of all these coaches sounding off against their players?
All of the above. And we've seen other coaches do it. We saw Rick Pitino do it a couple of years ago. I saw them lose at the UBS Arena to Seton Hall, and he ripped his guys. And listen, I get it. A lot of these guys are old school, but I'm going to say this. In this day of social media, your clips of ripping your team can go viral quickly. And it not only affects your team, it affects everything else that's going on. When half of these kids are already in the portal before the season even ends anyway.
It affects recruiting, coach, in the future.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I think,
Coach, I brought it up. UCLA, classic example. They're not a bad team, coach. They're like 17-9. They've been playing better basketball. But Mick Cronin flips out all the time after losses. You'd think they're 9-17, right? And let me throw it to you. If you're going to fire the dude Tang in K-State for ripping his team, then Mick Cronin should have been fired 3 years ago, right? Tom Izzo should have been fired. Like, what a weak weasel
it's a big difference. It's a big difference. Why is Jerome Tang get fired? Because they're not winning. And simply put, Kansas State is trying to get out from that $19 million. Guys, that is not cause. Cause is when you have recruiting violations. Cause is when you have scandals left and right. Cause is not your coach. Right. I mean, that's cause. That's cause. Ripping your team in a press conference, that's not cause. They're trying to find a way to not pay all $19 million. They'll go to the negotiations and sell it. I think Tang still gets $13-14 million of it. He'll get the majority of it if he wants to. But I think the other thing is this. If you're Kansas State, you're already a bottom feeder of the Big 12. This guy took you to an Elite 8 3 years ago and was a couple minutes away from taking you to a Final Four. The guy didn't just forget how to coach. Now, the transfer portal is tough, and he has swung and missed. Remember, he took the kid Hawkins from Illinois years ago, and he gave a boatload of money. That didn't work out. So you got to have a better maybe general manager in regards to how to spend your NIL money. But if you're firing a coach for what he says at a press conference, good luck going to get a big name guy. And I've always said this because I've been through it myself. Guys, you're only going to get your first head coaching job once. You're only going to get your first high major job once. After you saw what goes on at K-State, you're the guy at Shirts at Southern St. Louis. Are you sure that's the Power 4 job you want after a guy ripped his team in a press conference? You fire him within 48 hours, especially the fact that they played even with Houston in the second half on Saturday. I would be very, very careful right now trying to take a job at K-State with what I saw going on by the administration.
All right, we mentioned UCLA, big game against Michigan State. Gabe and I are on opposite sides, 7.5 or so, 8, depending on where you do your shopping, is the number, Coach. Michigan State or UCLA?
I'm on Michigan State minus the points. I just think it lines up for Michigan State. Guys, the one reason why UCLA struggles sometimes is I don't think people understand like the trip going east. It's a lot. It's a lot in the first game, and then it's a lot in the second game. You know why? Because you're in Michigan, it's cold, and all you're thinking about is that flight back home. Michigan State has been up and down. I like the minus the points. Now, could you wait a little bit longer, maybe get it live, because Mick Cronin's team will fight, especially early? I just expect with a second game of a road trip, Tom Izzo will have some tricks up his sleeve. I'll lay the points. 8.5. I've seen 7.5. Shop around, folks.
That's what I like, though, Coach. And I get your point, though, as far as being bleak. You know what I'm saying? Like I brought it up. Like when the Michigan Wolverines play against USC and UCLA, they stay at the Beverly Hilton. Like they literally stay at the Beverly Hilton for 5 days.
Yeah, it's like the Jeffersons. They're moving on up.
It's a lot more fun for them than there ain't no Beverly Hilton in East Lansing, Coach. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, maybe a Beverly Road in East Lansing. That's all. That's supposed to get to the Beverly.
On the side of the freeway somewhere right now, and they're like, "Damn, man, this place is a dump. We want to get back to Brentwood, California." You're right, but I just think they're equally talented. I think they're going in different directions, Coach. I think this Bruins team is going to start trending upwards a little bit. There's a team coming up later I'll throw at you. The Texas Longhorns, kind of on the bubble here, but they play in such a tough conference. I think, they're going to get the respect, but they're on a little bit of a roll right now, Coach. This team can score. Defensively, they don't play much defense, but what do you think about Texas? And I actually think they roll LSU tonight.
Yeah, I think they roll LSU as well. They're at home. You kind of look at, and I'm a big, Kevin gets mad when I talk about this. I'm a big fan of Ken Palm because I try to find advantages. There is a major advantage with Texas with the ball versus LSU's defense. So if you don't want to play the overall side, maybe just look at the Texas team total over, right? You have a team that's number 2 in the SEC versus a team that's 13th, number 2 in effective field goal percentage.
Too.
Or play the over in the game.
Yeah,
right. Because they don't. The problem is LSU's offense is worse than their defense, according to Ken Palm, according to the metrics in the SEC. Right.
And
but
also,
Texas defense is not strong.
Being on the bubble, I think they're in, but they won't take the pedal off the metal. They're going to want impressive wins down the stretch. If they're able to beat a team, they're going to beat the team.
Yeah, and if you kind of look at Texas' schedule, guys, like if you think about down the stretch, they have LSU tonight, obviously, Georgia, Florida, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Oklahoma. And Oklahoma's at home. They got to go to Georgia, will be tough. Florida's playing great basketball. A&M is never fun on the road. Arkansas, good luck with the way they're playing. Guys, there's not a lot of wins right there left for Texas and Sean Miller. This is a must-win, a must-get game that they have to get and probably win impressively. You're right, Gabe. Win by 10 or so points to kind of keep that vibe going and the people not looking at, a tight win or a loss like they would.
How about Ohio State, Coach? I kind of view them in the same spot. Basically, pick them at home against Wisconsin. They're going to tip off here in about 5 minutes. Ohio State, Gabe and I were talking, 0-7 in quad 1 games, including 0-6 against top 25 teams. They got to get a win, and they're running out of games. I mean, they just desperately need this game tonight. Are they going to get it, though?
Yeah, I think this is one of the games you also could look over again. Wisconsin's offense is pretty good. They're fourth in adjusted efficiency offensively, but Ohio State can't stop a nosebleed. Wisconsin doesn't turn the ball over. They don't force turnovers as well, and their defense is not as strong. So there's advantage both sides offensively. When you see two teams that have advantages both sides, and both teams to me in the top half in pace of play when they have the ball, and they're top five defensively in regards to with the ball, without the ball, I look at that as a game that looks over here. So I look over in that Wisconsin-Ohio State game.
Michigan and Purdue won't end. It's 89-78 with 19 seconds left.
Oh, here comes that halftime 13 and a half. Here we go. Now we have to sweat it out.
If you're Purdue, you're not going to win. Like, they really are just like, I'll give them credit. If you had the in-game over, you're just like, thank you, coach. You know what I mean? Because they're not tapping out. Yeah. But it's like, guys, like, you're down 11, bro. Like, you're done. But they just keep fouling. And our boy Pat Foster, Master Control, sweating out to 13 and a half now.
Having a lot of other guys. Listen, guys, really quick before I go, the one thing I want people to watch out for, look for Arizona State in the first half. This is a tricky spot for a Texas Tech team that really played well and won in Arizona. Maybe take Arizona State at home, first half plus a point, then let it drop, then jump on the money line and take Texas Tech to win the game on the road.
There you go. Coach, great job. Follow him on Twitter, Coach Young NJ. Coach, we'll do it again soon. Thank you.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike Macdonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 1. Quick peek. We'll let you know St. Louis is down 8. I put a little flyer. You get them now plus 3.5. Yeah, you might be right about this one. Man, you lose to Rhode Island as a 10-point favorite. And then our boys at Miami O, they're, what did I see them? They're leading by 4, right? 76-72. The point spread was 3.5, 4.5. You know? No, they don't. Boy, they really don't.
Man, a lot of their games are like this, where they're just up by 4 and 6 all night. Literally, guys. They don't really smoke teams. They're always like, yeah, they won by 6. It was close. They won by 4. They won by 7. But Yeah, another typical game for them, but they're always just sort of in the lead. And finally, Michigan and Purdue has come to an end. 91-80 final score.
Wow.
So they get to 171. 91-80 final score. The Michigan Wolverines win. Now they're off to Cameron Indoors and Duke.
Well, they scored 20 points in the final minute and a half or so, right? That was about 20 points they scored in the final minute and a half, 2 minutes, because of all
Yeah,
the
it was pretty
fouling.
much Purdue pushing the pace. Michigan stopped trying to score. That's the thing. Michigan could even be better. Like Michigan literally could score like 115 points a game, I think, Scott. They're always up so much. They had a 16-point lead at the half. Like they really like I'd like to see them like pressed. All right, let's see how many points you could really score like against like a Loyola Marymount in the old days or something. It'd be like, whoa, they hung 156. For the record, that's still the highest scoring game ever, if you remember it. Loyola Marymount in Michigan, 1990.
Yeah.
1990. Yeah. After Hank
In
Gathers
regulation.
died, the defending champion Michigan Wolverines played Loyola Marymount. And their star player, Hank Gathers, died like a month earlier. And so Michigan were the defending champions, but they didn't have Glenn Rice on the team anymore. And Glenn Rice was their best player. So yeah, they were defending champions, but they only really had like 2-3 dudes from the team from the year before. But I'll never forget, Scott, the Michigan Wolverines. And remember, Loyola Marymount were the fastest team in the history of college basketball, right?
Yeah, Paul Westhead. Yeah.
Yeah, and Michigan said, man, they don't want to run with us. Then they basically said, this ain't LA street ball. Like, we're the Michigan Wolverines. Fast forward to the final score, guys. Still to this day, it's the highest scoring game in NCAA history. How about this for a total? 264 points, Scott, were scored.
Oh,
in a
my goodness.
40-minute game.
Yeah.
Think about that.
What was it, like 140 to 120? I remember being a semi-blowout.
Michigan 149 to 115.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine scoring 115 points and losing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy.
You scored 115 points, Scott. You lost by 34.
Yeah. They had a great run in the NCAA tournament.
Loyola Marymount. Like that night was their they lost like the next game after or whatever. They might have won one more, but like that was the peak. Like basically they had a rule. Like literally, guys, for younger people, Loyola Marymount, funnest team ever, 1990. They had a rule. You had to shoot within 5 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah.
Like you'd get yelled at. Like if you didn't. It was basically like, dude, what did you do? Like shoot. Like so it was basically they would run
there
the
was
ball
no
up
dribbling.
it was like dunk it.
First half court and then boom. Yeah.
One or the other. It was like fire a three, or just dunk it. Like, and it was just constant and relentless, man. And you couldn't, it was like, it just piled up. Like you couldn't do anything about it. They're going to hit 149 points. What are you going to do in college? Imagine, guys, 149. It's still the record to this day. 149 points, 264 points total scored. Loyola Marymount and Michigan. Game was in Long Beach, California, too. And Loyola Marymount are from LA. That played into it as well. Yeah. It was just one of those.
I'm seeing FanDuel's got Villanova and Xavier in overtime, but then they got a score of 92-89 at the end of regulation. So something funky's going on in that game.
I think Nova just hit a shot at the buzzer to win.
To win it, maybe they're shooting at if the bucket was any good
they
or
just did 92-89 final.
Yeah, 4.5 point favorites. I actually put them in
so
on the money line.
Went to double overtime. Nearly went to double overtime.
Oh, that's right. That's why, because that was in overtime.
They just won at the end of regulation of overtime.
Yeah. So, all right. So that one's in the bag. What else we got here before we get to our NBA plays here? Ooh, St. Louis has cut it to 2, 69-67. We got a shot. We got a shot.
+3 something on the money line.
Yeah.
Dude, there's still 5 minutes left, too, in that game. A lot of basketball left.
I know. A lot. North Carolina's getting blown out. This was a Mark Lawrence special at NC State, 71-51.
They're
surprised
so beat
about
up.
that one.
I just didn't want to lay 7, you know what I mean? But North Carolina are so beat up. It was just one of those spots. But I don't trust NC State, so I passed on it. Miami, Ohio are up 5 right now. Ohio State up 10-6 early on Wisconsin. They just sort of got started right there. Florida rolling South Carolina right now. And dude, I was dead wrong. VCU at George
Yeah.
Washington's a track meet, 48-38, man. I don't, dude.
That made no sense, Gabe, because
I
all
don't
the
get it,
trends where
and
you were
here they
given
are.
some of them before.
Yeah.
I had the same
don't
one.
get it.
7 George Washington 7-1
I
under,
don't get it.
VCU 6-2 under.
Look at their head-to-head matchups in the
Yeah.
past, even. Like, they're always 67, 65, 72, whatever. Like, dude, I don't, like, where the hell, like, how do they know? Like, how do they know, yeah, tonight's going to be a running back? I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Blown away by this.
Yeah. The coaches tell the kids, go ahead and run and gun. You know, I mean, is that, and that leaks out, okay, they're going to have the guys go up and down the court tonight versus walk the ball. I mean,
178,
strangest things.
181 and a half now. Just hit 181 and a half.
Wow.
And nice start from Michigan State. Oh, on the wrong side early here. 20-12. Sparty are up 8 points right now with 11 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah. It's up to 13.5 now. That's not bad if you want to get yourself a little middle, but 7.5.
This is a big
That
sort
actually
of
dropped
turning
those two
point
now.
here of this game. If you're UCLA, you can't let this turn into 32-12. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta stay within striking distance if you're UCLA. Don't let this get away. You just got blown out on Saturday. I just figured Cronin
Here,
would
by
just,
the way,
be flipped out after getting killed on Saturday at
Well-
Michigan. And here they are now down by 10 now already to Michigan State.
Here, I'll give you some more Mick Cronin on the other side. It's just like classic Mick Cronin. This guy's like looking to get fired. He must be. More coming up in Game 5.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
And I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid, closing out hour number 1. Here's Mick Cronin after the last UCLA loss, right? And keep in mind, this team is 17-8, 9-5 in conference play. Good conference. At this point, you know, they're going to get an NCAA at-large bid, right? So here's Cronin after his last loss. We were awful in the second half. We were god-awful. We missed 8 unguarded threes. If you're going to come here, meaning UCLA, you're going to have to score. We have some guys who won't pass the ball, and that's frustrating. That's the worst second-half defense field goal percentage in my career in 23 years. Yeah, I can promise you that. You can look it up because I don't have to. I can promise you it's not like I forgot how to coach defense either. So these
I thought
coaches
you were
are just
going to bring
hilarious,
up.
Gabe.
I thought you were going to bring up. I need to recruit a big effing Eastern European vodka
European
drinking
guy.
crazy man. Like, he's like, I need to get some tougher kids. And they're like, what do you need? He's like, I need like a vodka drinking Eastern European. That's what I need. Yeah, he's a piece of work. Like, I don't know. I got to be honest with you. Like, I wouldn't play for him. Like, yeah, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I've had enough of your little breakdowns. Unless he tells the players in the room, hey, it's all for show.
Right.
It's all for show. Like if he's like totally different in the room with everybody and you know it's an act, then you just sort of know, yeah, whatever, dude. It's his little shtick here, but he's cool with me in real life. But if he's really like that, then how the hell would you why would you want to play for that guy? Like seriously,
You
like,
don't have to nowadays.
Imagine if Darren Peterson was on that team, like the kid. Like,
Oh my goodness!
I decided before the game I can't play, so I'm not playing, coach. I don't feel well.
Oh
I'm
man,
pulling myself today. Biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
Nah, I can't.
I can't play second half. Can't
feel
play.
a little flu-like here.
I got little sniffles there, coach.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I sit down like Mick Cronin, like he'd you know. So that's the whole thing. Bill Self's got to sort of contain himself and not say anything publicly, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't get the players. Pretty simple. Like Coach Young knows. He brought it up, right? You start ripping players that go and other kids are like, nah, who that crazy guy? I'm not playing for that crazy guy.
Yeah. They don't need the aggravation. There's too many other options nowadays.
Player likes that. No modern players.
No.
The modern era, the generation, they don't. That hard ass coach doesn't work, bro. It does not work.
Nope. All right, some NBA plays here. A little bit of pregnant pause on the NBA season. Obviously resumes Thursday. How about that? Before we get to some over-unders, they offer up who's going to have the best record in the NBA at the season's end, obviously. They're giving us the Detroit Pistons at plus 270, Gabe. Now, you may think, Pistons. You know what? The Pistons actually have the best record. So you're giving me the leader coming down the back stretch, and you're giving me plus 270 odds. They're 40-13.
They play a lot of
OKC
bad
is
teams,
42-14. And yeah, they got 7 games. I looked it up. They got 7 games against teams that just don't want to win. Brooklyn, Washington, New Orleans. They got Washington twice in a back-to-back. They're not going to lose those games. They got a 1-game lead. OKC's playing in the West, so their schedule is just generally going to be better, tougher, I should say. And they only have 3 games against teams that are tanking. So you want to give me plus 270, hunch little bet? I'll take my chances with Detroit.
I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. The Pistons, as I stated, I've seen them play 4 times this year, 4 or 5 times this year. And as far as whole games are concerned, and they're dangerous. They are the legit deal. I just think, they'll have more success in the they were in the playoffs last year. So it's not like they don't have any playoff taste or anything like that. So I think they could go a little bit deeper, but I don't think they take the pedal off the metal, Scott. The only fear would be is if they had something locked up, right, over the last couple of days. Right. And they didn't need to get to 59, but I don't see why they don't get to 60 plus, to be honest. The way they play, the Pistons, they're not the most talented team in the NBA. They win because they outwork you. And, if they outwork teams, and we all know in the NBA, as season goes on, teams start to tap out. So I can see the Pistons going over.
Yeah. I mean, you think about that. There's one thing about the boys in Vegas. They don't really adjust. They're over under, you bet 58.5. They need to go 19-10. Pretty good record, Scott. Yeah, but they're 40-13. So to think they're going to lose 10 times in 29 games, in fact, they'd have to lose 11 times. They'd have to go 18-11 in order for you to lose your over bet. They're 40-13.
Look what they did, too.
They got more
the next night.
Look.
They went back-to-back, Scott. They went back-to-back the night after the brawl. Forget about Stewart. He doesn't really, he's not an impact player, but Duran is. They didn't have Duran. They were playing back-to-back, and they smoked a good Raptors team by 20 in Toronto. That's how good they are.
Yeah. 4 of their 15 road games are against Brooklyn, 2 against Washington, and 1 against Indiana. Those teams don't want to win. So they really have a pretty easy schedule. I don't know. Maybe they don't have the best record, but there's no way they're not getting 59 wins. No way. Well,
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Scott and Gabe starting hour number 2 with our late night pickoff. How about that? One of our better coaching systems that we have here. It was phenomenal in college football, like 11-1, believe it or not. We had somebody get fired. Forget who earlier this season in college basketball, but coaches fired system in play tonight, Gabe. Kansas State getting 3.5 at home against Baylor. Baylor might be the better team, but it's not like they're a great team. Kansas State is awful, no two ways about it. 1-10, 1-11 in Big 12 play, but they fired the poor guy, Jerome Tang, ripping the players. Maybe this inspires them. This is the way. You bet them the first game after you fire a coach. So give me Kansas State plus the 3.5 at home against Baylor.
We're going to start off with the New Mexico Lobos laying 28 tonight. Not something that I'm generally interested in doing, but Air Force are 3-22 on the season. They're 8-17 against the spread. They can score. But they can't stop anybody. And when they lose, they have got, they've hung around in a couple of games where they've lost by 14 and 17. But look, they just played a 12-13 Fresno State team who we talked about earlier. They lost by 30 to Fresno State at Fresno, 93-63. I think this is going to be just one of these, beat down type of games. New Mexico is going to win like 100-70 or something like that. I think the game's going to sail over the number. It's 148.5. Let's lay the 28 and go over the number. New Mexico and Air Force.
All right, I'll get to that game in a second. I'm going to grab Iowa laying 1.5 at home against Nebraska. Cornhuskers 20-0 start, but they're 2-3 since then. Iowa's lost 2 in a row. They're coming off an embarrassing home loss to Purdue by 21 on Saturday. Kind of rally the troops, bounce back spot. You get embarrassed like that, you're going to get a monster effort tonight. Nebraska's the better team. They are. Iowa's done a decent job this year. Not much was expected of them. 18-7, bubble team, 8-6 in conference play. I'm getting them basically a pick 'em. Give me Iowa laying 1.5.
All right, I'm going to go with Kentucky here. It's 6.5 right now. The Kentucky Wildcats. Mark Pope was somewhat on the hot seat earlier this season, but Wildcats playing good basketball right now. I think this is a good spot to roll the Georgia Bulldogs this evening. I'm expecting Kentucky to win this game by 11 or 12 points. I think Georgia weren't as good as the record was earlier in the season. Let's lay the points with Kentucky here.
All right. Back to the Air Force game for me. Same thing. Let me grab New Mexico, laying to 27.5, 28 points. We talked about it. Air Force is probably the worst team in all of college basketball. 350 or whatever it is, 63 teams. They're 3-22. Two of those wins have come against Division II teams. They're 0-14 in conference play. And they have the remarkable, this might be the worst team in the history of college basketball. They're awful on the court, and they're one of the worst, literally, teams against the spread. 7-17-1 against the spread this season, including 1-11 their last 12 games. So it's hard to do that because the numbers keep on going higher and higher and higher after every single loss, right? But they failed to cover. They're getting blown out by 30, 40 points. I mean, it's just like, and New Mexico's great at the pit. You know, the only concern is New Mexico leads like 55-20 at the half.
This could be a first half pick, too.
Yeah, this is, you're right. This is a good point, Gabe. This would be a good, yeah, this would be a good first half pick probably. But I'll take it for the game. And I'll tell you what, I know you said it earlier too. I like the over as well. You know, Air Force is on a 9-1 over run because they don't stop anybody. Everybody puts 100 points on the board. So you could put that in a little parlay if you wanted to, New Mexico in the over, and probably have a halfway decent chance. So, but our official pick, give me New Mexico late at 28, 27.5.
And speaking of not stopping anybody, LSU don't stop anybody. They gave up 83 to Georgia, 91 to Arkansas, 73 to Tennessee. And that was kind of a better night for them. Like, you know, hell, Missouri State, not just Mississippi State, scored 80 on them. They can't stop anybody, LSU. And as I talked about, Texas, or I think they're in Texas, but they're sort of on that bubble cusp type of team right now with a 16-9 record. But if you look at the Longhorns, they're playing their best basketball of the year right now. They're on a 4-game winning streak outright right now with some nice wins, some double-digit wins, some 10-point wins, and 17-point win at Missouri. I think they roll LSU tonight. They got something to prove. They got a tough schedule coming up. They need to sort of have impressive wins. And it's not like beating LSU is impressive, so you better cover the point spread. Like, let's be real. That's sort of the barometer, right? The expectation in the Ken Palm rankings is like 10.5, 11. It's up to you to win by, 13, 15. Have an impressive 20-point win. I just don't think they'll ease up Texas as this game goes on. Let's lay the points with the Horns.
Same kind of philosophy in my next pick with Nevada. I don't like laying double digits on the road. I don't do that too often, but Nevada's on one of the bubbles. They need to get some impressive wins. They can't fool around. San Jose State stinks. They're 6-19 overall, 1-13 in Mountain West play. They've lost 8 in a row. How many people are really going to, in San Jose, how many people are going to be going to the gym for this one, right? And so forget about any kind of home court advantage. Nevada's won 5 in a row. They're 8-2 against the spread their last 10. I'll just, listen, again, laying 10.5 is not easy, but I think when everything is said and done, 80-65, 80-62, 15, 18-point Nevada win. I'll take my chances. They cover the 10.5.
I bet you when our boy Colby Dent joins us, he'll probably be on San Jose. He's always on San Jose.
Yeah,
he's always
probably.
got a take on San Jose State Spartan game, football or basketball. And dear God, we talked about Mick Cronin in his post-game press conferences. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. They're losing 36-14 right now.
Wow.
Like, just absolutely getting smashed. 36-14. No excuse either. It's not like you just arrived to Michigan or anything. You played on Saturday. And you know what? I had deja vu when I gave this pick because I said the exact same thing about USC in this spot. It was the exact same scenario earlier in the year, Scott. They got lit up by Michigan, and I said, yeah, but Michigan State are Michigan, and they've had a couple of days on the road now, and, they got killed. So lesson learned here. Like, just pathetic, absolutely pathetic. And you and I have seen Stanford and Cal have had an ability to win on the road in football and basketball in the ACC, but these West Coast teams are just a bunch of wuss bags, man, when they go to the Midwest.
Not a good sign when your coach calls you out and then you have a response like this. That's very telling. You could lose the game, because just Michigan State's a good team. But when the coach calls you out like Cronin did, and then you just lay down to start the game like this, listen, he's not getting fired.
8-2 start for New Mexico. That's a good start. Let's
All
roll.
right.
Let's go. Keep,
There you go.
keep it going.
Let's
Keep it
keep
going.
it going, boys.
I'm on the wrong side of a couple of blowouts early here in college basketball. I want to see this game like 55-2 here for New Mexico.
Yeah.
Let's just a stress-free game. Let's go.
Put them out of the misery. That's a good. Like, I didn't think about that. I didn't do too many first half lines, but that would have been a good first half line bet. I don't know what the line would have been. Probably 18.5, maybe 19.
It's currently
but this way you avoid
18.5 right now.
first half.
So this way, like you said, because if they're
It's
up
not
by,
bad.
I don't think they're going to be up by 50 at the end of the game. So they'll probably be up by 35, 33, whatnot. So, anything can happen late in a scenario like that. So it's 17.5 right now. That's not bad. It's 8-2 right now. I would expect New Mexico, to blast them in the first half here. So that, just for the record, if you want to get in, it's 17.5. And New Mexico's team total is in the first half 44.5 and 89.5 in the game.
Really, 89.5 for the game. That's not bad.
89.5 for the game. Air Force is 60.5 for the game. They generally score more than 60 as well. They kind of get to like 70 or so. They'll give up like 95, but they'll score.
They give it up 93, 91, 89, 81, 79, 96, 81, 81. A couple of 90s in there. 91, 99. They are back.
They just
Air Force
scored.
Sports used to be pretty good. Ooh, there you go.
61.5. Yeah, I'm almost intrigued by the Air Force team total. But yeah, you're right. Air Force athletics has fallen on hard times.
Yeah, definitely has. All right, coach is fired. So play on the other side.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
it's time to teach you a couple things with the boys in Vegas. One of our favorite betting systems in play tonight, the coaches fired system. Works particularly well in college football and college basketball. And that is you play on a team that just fired their head coach. That's the case with Kansas State. They fired Jerome Tang on Sunday, a little rant that we talked about so much. This is their first game. Only play it one time. After that, it's up to you. But they're getting 3.5 at home against Baylor. Here's the thinking, and it really does make, like, a lot of these trends, like, okay, they're trends, but a lot of them are just anomalies, and you just figure out the common denominator. There's got to be a reason behind a trend for me to make it legitimate. And the reason is this: you can't really lose in this. One, the coach gets fired, right? And the players love the coach, and they feel bad. They feel guilty. Listen, they recruited them. They were in our living room. They were with my mother and father. We got the guy fired. We didn't play ball. So they get inspired for one game to play ball. Or they hated the coach. That's why they stink. That's why they're not playing. He's a grump. He's a mump. He's this. He's that. He treats us awful. So they're happy he's gone. So either way, you're going to get an inspired effort out of the kids. And in this case tonight, it's Kansas State, like I said, getting 3.5 against a team Baylor that's really not that good. 3-9 in conference play. So that's the thinking behind it for one game. It only lasts for one game. You know, sometimes it goes a little bit further, but the thinking is, okay, for one game, for better or worse, you're going to get inspired play from the kids. You're getting 3.5, maybe 4.5, depending on where you do your shopping. Kansas State against Baylor just underway. What do you think, Gabe?
Yeah, I think, listen, they're up 10-6 right now early. But, yeah, your logic is sound, as you stated. Either way, and listen, there is always the other element where sometimes they really like the guy and they were just sort of crushed he's gone and they can't get out of it. Like, you know what I mean? There's sort of a depression. But for the most part, as you stated, and I think, you know what, pretty much in every sport, I think the NFL is probably the one that it works the least in. Right? Like you'll see sometimes like bad teams will fire a coach and they're just bad and a new coach will take over. Same with football. I would say college football, NFL is a little bit different, but I don't have a problem with it in college basketball. As you stated, I think the kids will want to respond here. And, you know, it seems to be really successful in baseball as well. The first manager, like the manager fired game. And look, the Rick Bowness this year. You and I talked about Rick Bowness. And he took over, and Merzurkins, their goalie, basically even said, they said, what's going on with this winning streak? He said, the coaching change. He said, we're just looser now, right? So there really is something to it. I do have a correction, though, Scott. When we said that Duke and Michigan was at Duke, it's actually neutral. It's neutral, Washington, D.C. So we were partially right, and Duke won't play on the road, but at least it's on a neutral.
Yeah. That's a road game, you know, for Duke. That's as good as you're gonna get. You know, at least we'll make a neutral site. Even though it's a lot closer, obviously, from North Carolina to Washington D.C. than it is from people from Michigan. But that's as good as you're gonna get with an anti-Duke play. What a joke! Really, they make the road to the Final Four for Duke so easy, and that little dopey little things like this. You never see them, Gabe. I swear. I can't remember the last time I saw Duke play like a really good Clemson team or outside of North Carolina. But other than that, you never get those games on national TV. They do play them, obviously, but you never get them. It's always a situation where we can put Duke in good limelight. So anyway.
It's the same thing with SEC teams all the time when they play these games to start the season against like a Big Ten team or an ACC team or something. You'll notice it's always in Atlanta or New Orleans.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not really a neutral game, right? It's in SEC country, right? Let's go to like a really random neutral. Let's play it in St. Louis. And the SEC teams don't want to do it, right? Because they kind of know. And look, a good example is LSU went to Las Vegas to play USC and they lost. Right? It wasn't in the little bubble. I bet you if that game was in Atlanta, LSU would have won, right? If it was an SEC country. But the conferences are especially the big conferences, they're very protective of like looking bad and not winning these showcase games. So speaking of which, Miami of Ohio, get it done, Scott. So put another one on the board for Miami of Ohio. A hell of a season for these guys. And, Miami of Ohio
St.
had
Louis
success. I saw before, St. Louis lose to Rhode Island, but I saw before the Super Bowl, Miami of Ohio were like one of only like 5 or 6 schools to have a U.S. president and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So it's pretty interesting.
Roethlisberger, and who was the president? I don't even know.
What the first one? Samuel Jackson or something? Yeah, it was
some guy. Yeah. No other ones had that. That's amazing. I found out that, like the USC. The USC not having a Super Bowl quarterback was surprising to me this year. Out of all the quarterbacks they had.
Like there's a weird school. The Super Bowl winning quarterback and a president. It was a recent president.
So it's not Miami, Ohio, then obviously. So there's another
one. Delaware. Joe Flacco, Joe Biden.
Biden. Yeah. That's a good one. That's right.
Michigan, that's right. Tom Brady, Gerald Ford.
Okay. That's
Michigan,
a pretty good
Tom
one.
Brady, Gerald Ford.
How about Roger Staubach? There's got to be someone that went to Navy, right?
Yes, sir. I think Staubach's on this. Yeah, presidents and Super Bowl QBs.
Got to be someone that went to Navy.
It's good fun. It was a fun trivia, though. So you really want to put someone on the spot here. It's not easy. I'm pretty good at trivia too. I'm good at political trivia. Surprisingly enough.
Yeah, the political
Delaware.
one.
So Joe Biden and Joe Flacco. Benjamin Harrison.
Okay.
Not Benjamin Franklin, but Benjamin Harrison and Ben Roethlisberger. Funny, they're both named Ben from Miami, Ohio. University of Michigan, Gerald Ford, Tom Brady. Stanford, President Herbert Hoover, John Elway, and Jim Plunkett. They got a couple. And you called it U.S. Naval Academy. Jimmy Carter, Roger Staubach.
I know it.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike Macdonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 2. We got Colby Dant joining us in about 5 minutes or so. We'll do some college basketball with him. So in the meantime, let me throw a couple more over-under second half win totals in the NBA, Gabe, at you. Get your thoughts. Gonna go with Charlotte over 42.5. They're 26-29. It's one of the rare teams I'm gonna kind of like follow along. They need to go 17-10 the rest of the way, which for Charlotte is a pretty good winning clip. It is, but they got more home games, 15 versus 12 road games, and they got 10 games against the NBA's worst teams. And I do think, and there's no reason really to think otherwise, I don't think, but I think it's going to get worse and worse as the season progresses with the Brooklyns and the Washingtons and the New Orleans and the Sacramentos and Indiana. There's just no reason for these teams to all of a sudden put up any fight. So if you're giving me 10 games, what are they going to go, baby? 8-2. You got to buy into Charlotte, and I am. I'm going to buy it. They finished out the regular season terrific, and I think that carries over. I think they get to 43 wins. What do you think?
No, I'm selling that. I'm not buying in. And I've liked this Charlotte team. I've liked this run that they're on. I bet on them. But I think they're going to cool off down the stretch. And you're right. They do have some winnable matchups, Scott. But look at their last 2 weeks of the season for them. Look at the last 10 games or so. New York Knicks, Philadelphia 76ers, Boston Celtics, okay, Brooklyn, Phoenix, Indiana, Minnesota, Boston, Detroit, New York. That's not an easy last couple of weeks. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. And if New York and Detroit and Boston are all battling for seeds at the top here, these games are going to be critical, and it looks like they will be. So this one I'll disagree with. I agreed with your earlier Pistons take. I got to go under with the Charlotte Hornets.
All right. How about Cleveland? They're 34-21. The over-under is 52.5, which means if you go with the over, as I'm going to do, they need to go 19-8. That's, it's a decent record, right? 12-15, so they got a few more road games than home games, but they got 11 games against dead teams, and they're 12-2 their last 14. They got James Harden. They're going to have to work him in, so I think they'll take these games seriously. They're playing their best ball. They're turning it on. I think they go 19-8 the rest of the way.
I'll buy into that. I think the Cavaliers will dial it up as the season goes on. Harden is good at adapting quickly to teams. It's the one thing that he is good at. He's kind of a chameleon. He can take over and become a scorer, but he can become an unselfish player at this time of his career as well. So, it'll be interesting to see the dynamic, but they've been winning with him. And Harden's always a great teammate in the first year type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, this is the honeymoon phase, right? Like, he wants to get paid. So he's not going to be like Johnny cause problems, right? He's looking for a 3-year extension and max money. So he's going to be a good teammate and stuff. And I buy into Cleveland. In fact, we talked about how good Detroit is, but as it is right now, I got Cleveland winning the Eastern Conference.
Mm-hmm. How about the Rockets? 52.5 is their number. They're 33-20 right now, which means they need to go 20-9 the rest of the way. 16 home games, only 13 on the road, 9 games against dead teams. I like that Rocket team. I like Sengun. They're battling for the 2, 3, 4, 5 spots, so I think they're going to have incentive to play good ball the rest of the way. I think they go 20-9. That's not that bad, 20-9 for this Rockets team. Give me Houston over 52.5.
I'll go under, barely. 20-9. I think they won't get there. I think it'll be right around it. Let's say so 18-11 or whatever. Then I'll say they go 18. I'm not a massive fan of this Houston team. They can be good, but they're fragile. Like they're an injury away if Sengun got hurt or KD got hurt or Thompson got hurt. I don't think they're deep enough to lose like one of those guys. They've already lost Steven Adams as well. I don't think they're like deep enough to lose one of those guys. I also wonder if they get into load management with KD a little bit down the stretch, if they are doing well, which I don't think they're going to fall off like they're going to be terrible or anything like that. But I'm not that big of a fan of the Houston Rockets, to be honest with you, in this roster. So I'm going to go under.
All right. Last one is the one under that I have. And I really started looking at this team as an over. And then I was like, you know what? And that's San Antonio. Playing great, 38-16. The number, though, is 58.5, which means, Gabe, they need to go 21-7. They got Denver twice, Phoenix twice, Boston, Detroit, Houston, Clippers, Philadelphia. All those are home games. I don't know if they go 21-7 the rest of the way.
No, I like the Spurs in the big picture a lot, but I could see them resting Wembanyama here and there down the stretch, Stephen Castle down the stretch here and there. They've already, you know what I mean? They don't have a ton of they do manage things pretty wisely and are a modern thinking team. So I would go under as well.
Call me Dan. College basketball talk. Coming up next.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe, hour number 2. Busy night in college basketball, so let's put the NBA aside. Talk a little college hoops with our good buddy Colby Dan, his home, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, his podcast, the College Experience Podcast. Colby, we'll start at the top where Miami does it again. You know, I think the most amazing thing, outside of being, 26-0 now, but one of the more amazing stats with this club, and outside of all overs, right? They've shot, and they did it again tonight, they have shot 50% from the floor in 20 now of their 26 games. I don't care if you're playing Topeka High. To shoot 50% or more in 4/5 of your game, that's amazing to me. This team is getting it. I don't care if they lose 2 or 3. They're getting into the NCAA tournament, Colby. Am I wrong?
I mean, look, we saw corruption last year. North Carolina got in when they had no business being in, right? So I saw bracketology, I think it was like CBS's Jerry Palm, have them as an 11 seed. And if you know anything about the bracketology, that means you're barely in, right? If you're on the 11 seed, right, that means you're barely in as of yesterday. Now, this win might help that. I don't know how you do it. The MAC is a respectable basketball conference. You're 26-0. As far as I'm concerned, they could lose out, and I think they deserve to be in because you're 20. Yeah. There's only 4 games left. You know what I mean? Like there's only 4, or 5 games left. So it's like, yeah.
Anything more than 2 in Selection Sunday becomes a very stressful day for them.
Oh, I agree, but I don't agree with that logic.
Like, I know, I'm just calling it for what it is, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and back to his point about how the way they shoot, it's because in this day and age, I feel like, where many teams can't return starters, they returned everybody, and I think that's why no one wanted to schedule them. They had their chance. They looked at probably the other teams. They're like, wait a second, this mid-major team's bringing back everybody. No, I'm out. Let's play someone else that we know is in the same boat as us, replacing a lot of their roster. So I think that's some of it, but I also think they're a well-coached team as well.
Yeah, last year 25-9. I was just double checking to see how good they were. Yeah, 25-9. So they were a pretty good team. All right, so they get Win State. Yeah, really. Yeah,
25-9 and 26. So in other words, they're 51-9 in their last 60 games.
Yeah. Pretty sure that coach won't be there next year. All right.
Like even that should count for last year too, and sort of carry over the body of work. Like
right. That this year's not a fluke.
1-9 guys in the last.
Well,
years.
I would also say. I actually think the committee should think about this as far as like they should look and say if a mid-major did that, no Power 5 wants to schedule a team that won 25 games a year ago. No, the risk is not worth it these days with the metrics they use. So the metrics
really
are
amazing.
the problem. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing, guys? I mean, if this is not football where you only have 12 games and one loss really could, you're playing 30 basketball games. Even if you were to lose to them, I mean, you're really these ADs and these basketball coaches were that afraid of Miami. Oh,
like who should play them? Ohio State, classic example.
Right? Yeah, there you go.
In Ohio, like you know what I mean. You should play them. Cincinnati.
One of the things I like about the state of North Carolina is they make you play. The state legislation makes you play.
Really?
Yeah, like a lot of them have to play. Because of that, like it's written in there saying because it boosts their economy. So
you're a state school, you got to.
Yeah.
And you know what's interesting, if you think about it, guys, Michigan always makes sure to play Western Michigan, Central Michigan. Show some love for the in-state. Spread the money around a little bit.
Well,
it helps them. It matters. You know what I mean?
Well, and another thing that I want to key in on before we switch topics here is like their strength of schedule, which will be an issue if they lose a game, like you said, or two. They tried to schedule good, all right? Like, when you look at the scheduling, UNC Greensboro's normally good in the SoCon. They're having a down year. UNC Asheville's been to the NCAA tournament, I feel like 3 or 4 out of 5 years. Like, they're terrible this year. They tried their best to schedule good, I think, and they shouldn't be penalized for that. It's so hard. I can tell you this because we preview every team. I've been doing this for 8 years where we preview every team. It's harder on us to project because it's 12 new guys on a roster. So you're just like, I got no idea. How's this team going to look? I haven't seen tape on most of these guys. They're transferring in. Okay, he averaged a bunch in Slovenia, but I have no idea how he's going to be. So I think the coaches are got to be in the same bin as the people that are covering it. I mean, it's very hard to know which mid-majors are going to be good each year.
All right, let's look at some of the games that are going on. Some surprises. Halftime, Michigan State by 20 over UCLA, 43-23. The line is 21.5. You want to touch that one right now?
Somebody's got to rip Mick Cronin instead of Cronin ripping the players all the time. Like, it's never his fault. Hey, Colby, you're in LA. Like, seriously. What about you, coach? I need vodka drinking players. I need this. My players are soft. You're the coach.
Why did you take the gig? What I love is like he's just so bitter that he's in the conference. Like he's mad even when they're hosting Rutgers. He's mad. You know what I mean? Like
you know what? Go to the Big East, coach. You can go from Providence to New York to UConn,
Villanova.
If you don't want to get on a plane, you're in the wrong conference.
We have free will in our society, and look, just an idea. Those checks are still they're cashing fine, right, Mick? You complaining when they cash? Yeah. But amazing. I would buy in. By the way, give me the points though. I would buy in. Right now. What is this live number? What is that live number right now?
21.5. They did start to close the gap a little bit. It was, you know what I mean? So they've cut it to 20. We'll see what the. Hey, listen, they got to show an effort in the second half here. They got to show.
They got it. Come on. I mean, this is UCLA here. What are we talking about? I'm going to go in right now. But yeah, let's go in. I feel like that's a good number to get in this game, right?
Air Force in New Mexico is the track meet we talked about. Their score. I mean, look, the total was 148.5. The in-game is 164.5 right now. We've got 54 points on the board. There's still 5.5 left in the first half. The Lobos are up by 10 right now, Colby. They were laying 28 points tonight in this game.
We joked around about this game last night of the show because Air Force is one of the few teams that's won at the pit. They won there at the pit, like in the past year or two, as like a 25-point dog. So it's like, do you take a shot on it again? The problem is their team, their coach is suspended. I don't think he's coming back. And they have been much worse, I feel like, than even 2 years ago. So, I don't like
their
taking
team
Air
total,
Force.
though. So
Yeah,
I just throw it out there,
yeah.
Scott. We talked about it, Scott, with a team total up to 94.5
Yeah.
now. Remember, it was the 44.5. They're already at 37 with 5 minutes left in the first half. Like they're probably going to get to 100 tonight.
Only an 8-point game. But they're keeping a point spread. They don't want to move that point spread, guys, right? It's 25.5. What was it, 27.5 to start the game? It's only, 9-point game with 5 minutes left.
We talked about
They're
it.
hanging
They don't
around.
stop you, but they do score.
They can hit those threes, man. They can hit every
Yeah.
guy on their roster is capable of hitting a three. So that's
I
how they do it.
No, and pardon the pun. I don't mean any offense to anybody in the military, but isn't it kind of an oxymoron that a military team can't defend anything? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, we got a bunch of kids that shoot threes and don't want to play on defense. We got a problem here.
Now, to be fair, and I wonder long term if this works. Their head coach, well, I know he's suspended currently, so maybe their previous head coach was adamant that it is the number one hardest job in the country because it's like, you know, the Navy and Army, they're not in the AAC in basketball. They're in the Patriot League. So Air Force being in the Mountain West, he's like, everyone else spends way more money than us on basketball. What are we doing in this conference? This is the hardest job in the country. And I think he's got a valid point there.
Yeah, I think they're in the wrong conference, but they're in the conference because of football.
Yeah.
So the basketball
exactly.
team is a sacrificial lamb. They're pretty good at hockey, though, actually.
I mean, they should be, right? Yeah, should be.
Colorado? Yeah, I guess so.
Colorado
All
Springs.
right, quick little
up
break.
there.
Yeah, got a bunch of games. We'll take a break, Kobe. We'll come back, and we got a few more that have yet to get underway. Oregon's in action later on tonight. We got a few others that we want to touch on, including Texas Tech in a difficult spot. Kobe Dan here on the Grid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Gabe chat with our good buddy Colby Dant, the College Experience podcast. So before we get to the games here, Colby, that have yet to tip off, any other games in progress you like? Maybe Nebraska now taking a 1-point lead over Iowa. Basically pick them with 4.5 minutes left to go in the first half. Any other games in progress that you like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Iowa in that particular game. I'm kind of fascinated by that matchup. Obviously, it's a rivalry game there, but just the styles of play. Nebraska is kind of like, multiple, like they love to shoot. And Iowa's kind of that Tony Bennett-esque team where it's just going to lull you to sleep. But I went with the Hawkeyes at home. Kind of fascinated by that one. How about Kansas State? They fired their coach on some nonsense. We'll see if he got Tom Mars, a big-time lawyer who makes a lot of money suing the NCAA and only the NCAA, I feel like. But they're rallying under the interim head coach. That's when they're up. I mean, I don't know if you go in live right now because they're up 10. Maybe you go in live on Baylor, but they look pretty good thus far.
34-28 now.
Yeah.
Baylor's got a little run, so Baylor's getting 3.5 now, 157. You got to wonder, too, if K-State played on adrenaline in the first half, reality could kick in as the game goes on.
Well, and another thing is Scott Drew, who was his right-hand assistant when he won the Natty. It was Jerome Tang, who they just fired for a kind of a phony technicality.
Basically, so he wouldn't mind sticking it to them a little bit.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
You imagine, Colby, if every coach that ripped the team after the game got fired? Come on.
Unbelievable. He said, he used it in a negative light. What? He said his team's not playing good. I mean, that's what you're supposed to say when you lose by 20 at home, right? What are you supposed to say? Oh, we're great. We got it right where we want it. Great performance tonight.
Yeah. We're seeing progress here. We lost by 30 to a team that's in next to last place. Wow. Texas Tech later on tonight. Tough spot, right? Huge win against Arizona. They win basically at the buzzer there. Now they're laying 7.5 at Arizona State. Is that a stay away? You want to take your chances? Texas Tech wins. You want to put money on Bobby Hurley. Another talk about head coaches yelling and screaming at their players. Where you go with that one, if anywhere?
Yeah, I know this is kind of like a game of Russian roulette, but give me Bobby Hurley and the points. And I don't even think it's a bad money line play because Arizona State, under Bobby Hurley, they've never lacked talent. They lack just being cohesive. They got consistency is a big issue. They lose to teams they shouldn't all the time. I just think it's a sleepy spot. These crowds, Hurley's been outspoken about none of these fans are showing up. I think these fans have been wanting him fired for like 5 years, so I don't blame him. But
he's run out of people to rip, and I love that. And he's turned his anger and rage towards the fans.
I don't think it's gonna.
They don't deserve us. He goes, I don't know. I've effing won a couple of championships. This team sucked before I got here. And he's like ripping. He goes, they're just spoiled. They don't want to show up. Screw them. It's like, well, man, this guy's like, he's right at people to rip. Like he just is. But let me ask you, Colby, about a West Coast matchup tonight. The Lopes, Grand Canyon, and SDSU play. And of course, these two teams played already January the 21st. Close game, and the Lopes got it done, 70-69. And in fact, they've beaten them 4 out of the 5 times that they played. The Lopes have had the Aztecs number somehow, Cody, for whatever reason, and they're getting 8 points tonight.
No, I love the points here. First off, just Brian Dutcher going back to like the Iowa Ben McCollum / comparison to Tony Bennett. I would say San Diego State. You saw them when the national championship run. Part of their thing is they're like a boa constrictor. They're only going to score 65 points or something, and then their defense is just that elite. Now, they don't win that big, even with their non-con opponents. I feel like they're not the type of team to really beat you by 20 or 30 points. They slow the game down, and they play great defense. But Grand Canyon, to me, athletically, they can spend a lot of money. Their programs on the stock market, gigantic enrollment. They go out and spend a lot of money on this on their roster. So athletically, I do feel like the reason why they've been able to go toe for toe for them is like they have similar athletes. I'll take the points all day. I mean, you look at it like the short of them being able, like Grand Canyon's terrible at shooting the 3 this year, which is weird because Bryce Drew's their coach. Yeah. But like everything else, like they're a better rebounding team. Yeah, better rebounding team, good defensive team. and they're getting healthy at the right time. Beginning of the year, they had some injuries. That's why they kind of struggled in November. So I'll definitely take the points there. I think San Diego State probably still wins the game, but give me the points and the Lopes all day here.
Yeah, it's just one of these weird matchups that, if you look, there have always been close games. 70-69 this year, 79-73, 86-61 once. Now, we're going to not go back too far, but Grand Canyon aren't intimidated by SDSU. They do struggle offensively. That's always the concern if they fall behind a little bit by too much. But I just sort of think it's one of these games where I think the spread's a little too high, guys.
I'm with you.
How about a little late night special? Minnesota and Oregon, two disappointing programs, especially the Ducks. I can't believe they're 9-16, 2-10. Minnesota not much better.
They're coming
4-10 in conference. Yeah, they are coming off a
two-game win streak. Two-game win streak coming.
Well, I like it. I actually like it because you see Dana Altman do this every year. Now, maybe not to this chagrin, but like they always get better and they always get kind of hot in late February and March. Remember the final year of the Pac-12, they ran the table in the tournament to get
the other one, Colby. Colorado
yes,
always
Tad Boyle.
Win a bunch of games in a Pac-12 tourney. Or at least the old Pac-12.
If you look at what Oregon's done, they got Nate Biddle back, their big man. He looks like he's about 40 years old, but he's very efficient. And they should have won at Purdue. They, like 2 games ago at Purdue, that was his first game back. They should have won. Then they were in Bloomington against Indiana, back-to-back away. At half, they were looking good on the money line, and then they take it to Penn State. I like laying it against Minnesota there in Eugene.
Last one real quickly. Any interest in Nevada, San Jose State? Nevada laying 10.5 on the road.
You know I do. San Jose State, they're healthier. They've been a mess all year. But Steve Alford, whenever he's playing a layup, I love taking the layup because that's been his issue, is consistency. Give me the points in San Jose State now that they got a bunch of guys healthy. I know they're only using like a 6-man rotation right now. I still think they can stay within the number.
1-13 San Jose State. We're putting our money on tonight. All right. Well, let's see. Colby, great job as always. Sports Gambling Podcast Network. His podcast, the College Experience Podcast. Hey, Colby, do it again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I don't think he was trying to take a shot at the team at all. It was just a plain and simple and obvious fact.
I think what's difficult, though, is, and I agree with you, right? I guess I agree with LeBron. The assessment of it all, it's why the Lakers organization seems to be comfortable with that truth, unless they disagree. But again, I don't really know how you disagree.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
You guys had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. You knew you were facing a Mike McDonald defense that disguises everything, and that was your game plan, to play scared. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I love the guy. He played that game, Donnie, like it was a preseason scrimmage in August and not the Super Bowl.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
It looked like a clump of grass. It didn't look like an eagle. That's the one, by the way, that USA Today claimed was the best ad. They thought the Lay's ad was number 2. The worst ad was any ad that had AI in it or had an AI company behind it. It wasn't because of the AI. It was because they were the most nonsensical ads you've ever seen. Does anybody look at these ads and understand if they are actually trying to do what they're trying to do, which is to showcase the product as opposed to being great with AI? Very embarrassing.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid again. Thanks to Colby. Dan, always enjoy talking with Colby. He knows his college basketball like no other. We'll have him on maybe even before this week is over. Certainly over the weekend. So, a couple of college basketball scores here of note. Speaking, Gabe, of coaches who just blister their team in press conferences. Mark Pope. We seen him earlier. We got to make a list of coaches this year that have really gone out of their way just to rip their club. He's won, and Kentucky is down at home against Georgia. This would be a huge win for Georgia, which is sliding. They lost 4 or 5 of 6. Georgia leads 34-31. Still early in the game. 3.5 minutes left to go first half, and you get Kentucky basically a pick of -2.5. I think they win the game. They're 8.5. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good play, right?
-155 on the money line right now. It's only 34-31. Kentucky will be fine.
Yeah.
They're in the bonus right now. There's still 3 minutes left in the first half. I expect them to finish this game strong. They're not losing on their home court here tonight to Georgia. Georgia 5-7 in conference play. Kentucky 8-4. And like I said, Kentucky started to dial it up a little bit. Georgia aren't just going to roll over here, but eventually Kentucky will pull away. I don't think it's a bad bet. You're getting 140 on the money line right now. Although I'm on the wrong side, I tell you, Miami, Florida, and Virginia Tech. I don't like these money line parlays where you think, oh, this team, that team will win. Miami tied it. They just can't stop them. It's 65-61 for Va Tech right now with 2.5 left in Miami. And this Miami team's been flying under the radar. They're 20-5 on the season, Scott. No one's really talking about the Miami Hurricanes. Had a great year, but they're on the verge of losing as 8-point home favorites tonight.
Yeah. They came down, and I saw the end of the game against NC State. They were down 8 or 9 with about a minute left and came back to win their last game. I played the over, and, unless we get overtime, it's not going to hit, 148.5.
They're not scoring Miami tonight.
They're just an enigma. You would think, being back home and everything, and Va Tech not playing well, strange. It's just bizarre. So, yeah, 65-61 with that one. Fresno State hanging around, down only 8 at Wyoming. Okay, grabbing them plus 9.5, 10.5.
It just was 5. Yeah, so I don't want it to get away from them a little bit. One, we're doing better. Our early picks before we came on, I crushed it all. Michigan, the over, Miami of Ohio. Our 8 o'clock picks aren't doing well. They're going on right now. I'm hoping to squeeze something out of it. But our 9 o'clock pickoff is. We talked about Texas being too much for LSU and Texas being an offensive juggernaut right now. Another team, Scott, Texas have put up 48 in the first half. 48-33. 48-33. So they're up 15 on LSU, one of these sort of statement games for Texas tonight. Look, guys, we're down to the final couple of weeks of conference play right now. These games are really starting to matter for these teams, and results matter as well, right? They do. Coaches understand. It's one of those little things where you're a jerk if you run the score up, but then it's used against you. You see it in college football.
Yeah.
Same thing, right? It's well, yeah, you only beat this team by 14. It's yeah, well, we could have killed them if we were jerks, but you got to be a jerk. There's no the committee looks at this and go, you only beat Air Force by 22. Everybody else beat them by 30. You got to beat them by 35. Remember Bowden told us that once. When he said, you look, he goes, I see what our rival did. He goes, I used to see Alabama won by 30. We'd win by 31. You know what I mean?
Just to make a point of it.
What did our rival do? Okay, we're going to do what they did except more. Right? Yeah. And that's the way these coaches think.
New Mexico by 22 at the half. So if you did play them, right?
They're only up half, 18.5.
Cover the first half, yeah. And they were only up 8. With about 4 minutes or so left, Air Force was hanging around, and then New Mexico just went out and said, all right.
They didn't have the best 2-minute end of the half, though. They didn't really score much at the end. I would have liked to see them sort of get it up to 27, 28 type of deal. But as you stated, Air Force were hanging around, and I would look for New Mexico to come out hot again in the second half just to deliver the knockout blow to Air Force. They're 33.5-point favorites right now, up by 22 at the half.
Wow.
What's their team total? So we missed out on the 89.5.
Yeah.
101.5 now.
That 89.5, man, that was it. That was absolutely.
Yeah, they already have 55.
Yeah. So, who do you got tomorrow? Germany or Slovakia in men's hockey?
Germany.
Canada. You got obviously Canada, right?
Canada, Germany. Man, I got Sweden to make the podium, Scott, so I was really hoping I wouldn't have to play USA or Canada this early with my Sweden bet, but Sweden beat the USA before. Give me the Swedes. Upset special.
All right, Games Olympic show coming up in a half hour right here on the grid. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.